Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Friday morning. It is the morning after Manchester United's first win under the Ruben Amorim era. Lots and lots to discuss on today's show. But before we get into that, please do me a small favour. Make sure to smash a like on today's video. Go and give the video a thumbs up. Let's try and see 500 on this episode. And if this is also your first time watching today, don't forget to subscribe. It's completely free. On the road to 40,000 subscribers, you can do that by going to the bottom right-hand corner and clicking subscribe. So make sure you do that right now. Right, but before we get into this morning's show, I want you to let me know your thoughts on last night's 3-2 victory over Bodo Glimt. Let me know in the comment section how you thought of the performance yesterday. I think generally most people I've spoken to have been were really happy, but then there's always a couple who are unhappy and said that we didn't play well and it's not good enough. And I was thinking about it last night, so I did my match reaction, and I would say the majority of people, as I said, were positive, but there was still 5 or 6 people, maybe more, who were coming out saying, and they were Man United fans. They're people who are regulars on the channel. They're saying, the performance wasn't good enough. I'm not happy with it. And I'm just really, really struggling, to be honest, to understand where we're in a place where we've got a new manager in the middle of a season. He's barely had any training sessions. He's doing a new formation, which none of these players have played recently. I know a couple of them have played, like Mason Mount played it at Chelsea. I think obviously Manuel Ugarte played it at Sporting Lisbon. Like a couple of players have played it, but not recently. So it's a new formation, it's new tactics, it's new ideas. You've got to be in different places on the pitch, different responsibilities. It's a big change versus Ten Hag, which was very pragmatic, wasn't it? It was four defenders, 2 central defensive midfielders. Like this is quite different, I think. When you think of the players where they're playing, you think that Malacia was kind of our winger last night and Anthony was on the other wing, and you had you had Bruno playing a lot deeper than he would normally, etc. And I think, yesterday's performance was really, really solid, to be honest. Now, I know the scoreline makes it look like it was close, but it wasn't really close. If you actually look at the stats, you look at the chances we had, Rashford should have scored. Garnacho could have easily got a goal, easily. I know he scored 1, but he had a really good chance and he hit it over the crossbar. There was probably a couple of other chances that I've forgotten about as well. So, 3-2, I think, to be honest, does flatter Bodo Glimt. They're a decent side. They're top of the Norwegian league. They've won the last 4 Norwegian titles. And I know people will say, oh, it's the Norwegian league, who cares? But the thing you have to remember is, right, the Norwegian league, I think they've only got 1 game left of their season because of obviously the severe weather conditions in Norway. The season finishes now. So I think their final game of the season, Bodo Glimt, is this weekend. And then they don't start again until the spring, I think, next year. So you got to remember that they are in full swing at the moment. And I'm not saying that, Bodo Glimt are prime Real Madrid. I'm just saying that they're a very well-drilled team and they are a lot further ahead in their fitness, their preparation. They've had the same manager for 4 or 5 years. Won 4 of the last 5 league titles, and it was never going to be an easy game. They were higher up the table before the game started than we were in the Europa League. They were above us in the Europa League yesterday, so you have to show some respect. But I think overall it was a decent performance. I was happy. I thought there was some real standout performers. Obviously, Mason Mount I thought was really good. I thought Rasmus Højlund had a good game. I thought Mazraoui was world class, and I'm going to call him world class. I thought he was absolutely spectacular yesterday. I thought Manuel Ugarte had a really good game as well. I thought Garnacho had a good game. So overall, there was lots of strong performances. And what I most liked about yesterday's game was at halftime, you could clearly see that some tweaking was needed. And Ruben Amorim did tweak some things. And one thing that's really impressed me so far with Amorim is his ability to almost accept that maybe to accept that his decisions were maybe wrong and to act fast to change it, if that makes sense. So whatever he did in the first half, it was kind of working, but it didn't quite work, if that makes sense. We let in 2 goals and we only scored 1. So that kind of tells you everything, doesn't it? And then at half time, he changed something and we completely dominated Bodo Glimt in the second half, completely. And on top of that, he made 5 substitutions before the 60-minute mark, which is, I don't remember the last time that happened. And that was even after we scored a goal. Dalot came on, Rashford, Luke Shaw, Diallo, Casemiro, lots and lots of substitutions, lots of rotation. And that was something that really impressed me. And I remember from speaking to Sporting Lisbon fans before, they always used to tell me that Ruben Amorim's really good with his substitutions and he does use his full squad, which is something that, which was something that it was something that I think Erik ten Hag was not as good at. But I'd be interested to know what you guys think. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Somebody in the chat says, I'm a Norwegian football fan. I couldn't watch the game, but wasn't it a handball though? I don't think so, no. I don't think the Onana thing was a handball. I mean, maybe it was, but it was still outside the box. It wasn't going to be a penalty. So I don't think it was a handball personally, Onana, but even if it was, I don't think it would have changed the game massively. Yes, he would have got sent off, but yeah. Johnny says the game was okay. Some problems still there. I mean, of course, yeah, we're 2 games into a new manager's reign. As CBK King says in the chat, people want us to play like prime Real Madrid already. Like, it's just not going to happen. We've been distinctly average for 10 years. It could take another 2 or 3 years before we're at an elite level. It's not going to take 2 games. And even after 2 or 3 years, we might still be distinctly average. It all depends on the players, if they buy into it, if they're good enough, if they suit the tactics. Like, there's so many different elements to make a successful football team, and we're right at the very, very beginning of it. And I know it feels frustrating. I know people want to win titles and all the rest of it, but we're a very long way away from there, realistically. But let's move on from that and let's talk a little bit about Joshua Zirkzee then. So there's been quite a lot of talk over the last couple of weeks about apparently Joshua Zirkzee leaving Manchester United in the January transfer window, which I think would be a bit mad, to be honest. Like, we only signed him in the summer. He's not really had much of an opportunity. I would agree that I don't really see how he fits into this Ruben Amorim style team, if I'm being honest. Like, he's not a number 9. And I don't think he really suits those positions in behind the striker either. So it's a little bit confusing as to how we get the best out of Joshua Zirkzee. But he is still young. Would I sell him? I mean, at this point, I don't think you could sell him straight away. I think you have to give him a chance. I always try and give players 2 seasons. I think 2 seasons is a fair amount of time. So obviously he has this season with kind of a free hit, and then he has next season. And then at the end of next season, I would kind of assess the situation there. But there's been quite a lot of stories coming out over the last couple of days. Some saying that apparently Manchester United want to sell him, saying that apparently Juventus are going to place a bid on him. And then there's other stories even suggesting that apparently Manchester United want to offer Joshua Zirkzee to Sporting Lisbon in exchange for Gaio Queiroz, plus obviously a transfer fee. I think, to be honest, it's all just speculation. It's all just trying to create more hype than is actually there. And when you actually look at the more reliable journalists coming out, they're saying there is effectively no truth and it is complete lies. Joshua Zirkzee wants to try and become a success at Manchester United. That's his priority, to try and make the best of his situation with Manchester United. Yes, it hasn't been the best start. Yes, it's a little bit unclear as to where his best position is. It doesn't even seem like he knows what his best position is, to be honest. Like, in his own words, he says he's a 9.5. So he's saying he's not a number 9, he's not a number 10. He's something in the middle of it, which doesn't really exist. I get what he means, but like, we either need a specialist number 9 or a specialist number 10. We don't need somebody who's kind of a striker, but also kind of a midfielder, but also, I get the mould of player. It's kind of like a Firmino type player, innit? Someone who's, not like an out-and-out goal scorer, but someone who links up the play, someone who, I understand the profile. I'm just trying to work out where in this setup he would fit. Because at the moment, for me, Mason Mount should be starting the next game, 100%. And I know that might be an unpopular opinion amongst some people, but Mason Mount was unbelievable yesterday, I thought. And he's one of the only players in this squad who knows how to play in this 3-4-3 already, because he won a Champions League with Chelsea playing in this same formation under Thomas Tuchel. So he knows exactly how to play in this formation. So I think for me, Mason Mount, if he stays fit, he should be starting. He's a quality player. I think his problems are his injuries. Like, I would never start Joshua Zirkzee over Mason Mount. I just wouldn't. I think Mason Mount's a completely different player. And as I said, his skills and his knowledge of this formation are absolutely elite. So yeah, I like Mason Mount and I'm happy. Would I have signed him in the first place? Probably not. But at the end of the day, he is our player. And, we need to get behind our players. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Lots of people saying that they think it's just, speculation. I would agree. I would be honestly stunned if they sold Joshua Zirkzee in January, Somebody says, how would you feel about Bruno Fernandes playing the deeper role? They're saying that they don't think he should ever play the deeper role again. Yeah, I don't think it really worked, to be honest, with Bruno Fernandes playing as the more deeper role. But then again, how do we get all the people in the team? If Bruno Fernandes doesn't play deeper, that means that Mason Mount's on the bench. And Mason Mount doesn't deserve to be on the bench. He was probably one of the best players on the pitch yesterday. And Garnacho doesn't deserve to be on the bench. For me personally, in that game against Everton on the weekend, I'm playing the same front three. I would have Højlund as the striker, Garnacho and Mason Mount, 100%. And then in the midfield, I would probably have had Mainu and Ugarte start this weekend and no Bruno. But obviously Bruno's going to start every single game without fail. So, it unfortunately, it now seems to be, where can Bruno fit in this team? Because we have so many other good quality players further up the pitch who, are looking for game time. The Amads, the Garnachos, the Mason Mounts, and obviously Bruno Fernandes also plays in that position. That's the only kind of issue we have, is how do we fit all these people in? Digital Sports Update says that Mason Mount was very good yesterday. He really suits the 3-4-3. Yeah, well, the thing obviously is Mason Mount obviously played the 3-4-3, didn't he, at Chelsea when they won the Champions League. So he knows that formation really, really well. Mark says that he thinks United should cash in on Bruno and Rashford in the summer. I would agree with you, to be honest. I like Bruno, I like Rashford, but yeah, I personally would move on both of those players. Somebody's saying that Manchester United are interested in Delap. This is coming up from David Ornstein. Let's have a little look then whilst we're live. Yeah, that's right. So David Ornstein has just put out a story saying that Manchester United are watching Ipswich striker Liam Delap. I don't know how to react to that. I'm just having a little think. Let me have a little look, because I can't remember how old he is. Okay, he's 21. English, which is obviously good for your homegrown quota requirements. Wow, yeah. I mean, he's got 6 goals already this season in the Premier League and 1 assist in 12 games. That's really good. That's more than any of our strikers have got, right? I don't know. The thing is, right, how much would somebody like this cost? That's the thing. He's probably Ipswich's best player, right? Ipswich want to stay in the Premier League. But I mean, in theory, that sounds great. He's the right age profile. He's young. He's obviously got Premier League experience. I can't imagine Ipswich would ask for that much money. On Transfer Market, it says his value is around 15 million euros. So I reckon, 20 million euros would probably be the absolute max. But yeah. Somebody in the chat saying that apparently he's a Man City fan. Okay. I mean, I don't think that matters that much, does it? At the end of the day, football's a job for most people. I know you, look at it this way, right? We've got Marcus Rashford, who is the local boyhood hero, loves the club and all the rest of it, right? But he doesn't seem to care. The point being, does it matter if a player we sign supports another club when we've got players who support our own club who don't give 100% anyway? I don't really buy into the whole they have to support Manchester United to play for Manchester United, because we have Marcus Rashford, who supports Manchester United, is from Manchester, his family support Manchester United, and he walks around the pitch like he doesn't care. So I'm not that, attached to this whole narrative that you can only play for Man United if you support Man United. I think that's maybe a little bit old school, isn't it? But yeah, I think Delap's an interesting option. Obviously, to have scored 6 goals in your debut Premier League season already is decent, I think. And no wonder he's getting attention from lots of people. Obviously, there are those Man City links. I can see people saying, he did come through the Man City Youth Academy. But then, does that matter? Cole Palmer came through the Man City Youth Academy and he publicly supports Man United. Why does it matter? I get it. He played for Man City, he can't play for Man United. But I don't think he ever actually played for the for the Man City first team. So I'm just having a look here. Ipswich bought him in the summer for 17.8 million euros. And there's a 20% sell-on clause with Man City. He actually started off at Derby. Where's he from? Yeah, he started off at Derby and then moved to Man City's youth academy. But yeah, I think he'd be an interesting option. But let's move on from that and let's talk about Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. So there's a story coming out this morning that apparently Ruben Amorim wants to bring in Kvaratskhelia as one of his front three. 23 years of age, obviously an absolutely phenomenal talent, would be a marquee signing for Manchester United. Now, the reason why this story is kind of heating up is because he hasn't signed a new contract at Napoli. He's only got 2 years left on his current deal. I assume he just wants more money. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays at Napoli, to be honest. Obviously, he's an unbelievable talent. The age he is, the profile, his skills and all the rest of it. He's a very, very good player. He's got 7 goals already this season in only 15 games, which is pretty decent. It's a goal every other game. Transfer fee wise, it would be absolutely enormous. It'd probably be somewhere around 80 to 100 million euros. But the general gist of it with this story is that Kvaratskhelia wants to earn more money at Napoli. I think he wants to stay at Napoli. It's just whether Napoli are willing to give him the money that he's asking for. He currently only earns this just completely blows my head out of the water, right? Kvaratskhelia at Napoli is only earning 30,000 a week. And then you've got Marcus Rashford at Man United on 350,000 a week. And you can see where our problems have arose. And, if we were to go for someone like Kvaratskhelia, even if you tripled his wages, he'd still only be on 90,000 a week versus what he's on now. Like, it's mental. But I think he'd be a good option. Whether he'd come to Manchester United, there would be so many clubs interested in him. Obviously, every top club in Europe, I think, would want Kvaratskhelia, I think. So I think the likelihood of Man United pulling this one off is quite small. I think, the Delap story is more realistic. He seems more like a kind of Ineos type player, English, from already playing in the Premier League, good age, and all the rest of it. So, yeah. But in short, I would love to see Kvaratskhelia at Manchester United. I just think the likelihood of it happening is probably quite small. Ellen says apparently that the captain of Bodo Glimt is a Manchester United fan. Probably half the team are Man United fans. Yeah, I agree with you there. Like, it doesn't matter who players support. I think when it's referees, I think it's maybe a little bit different. If you've got like a Liverpool fan as the referee for Liverpool, Man United, then that's not all right. And they do actually make the referees state what team they support, and then they're not allowed to referee those games. Like, I get it in that situation where there's a bit of bias. If you're a referee and you support Man City, you shouldn't you shouldn't referee a Man City game because that's just not fair, is it? It doesn't create a balanced playing field. But just seeing if there's anything in the comments section to react to quickly. I think that's everything for today's show, guys. We've gone through quite a lot today, but thank you very much for joining me. Make sure to drop a like before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Have a great Friday, everybody, and I'll speak to you all on the next one. Bye for now.